Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Tractor Girls Talk podcast. My name is Katy Sandalls and I'm a women's football journalist. I'm joined as ever by Super Snapper Supremo, Ross Halls. How you doing, Ross?
Oh, I'm very well, and I just love those intros, Katy. It's good to be back. Wins, all on the board. It's been 2 games since we've been on, but yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very excited to be back with a double sort of duo of games here to look at today. Like you say, we'll be going over Ipswich Town's game against London Bees, and then having a look to this previous weekend just gone against MK Dons. Plenty of goals, plenty of drama, and some nice things to celebrate as well. Some sort of notable milestones as well. So let's get into it, Ross. Then 2 weeks ago, Town made the trip to London to play London Bees. Obviously, the second time this season, having already played them in a final cup game. What do you make of the game this time around, Ross?
I think they made some new signings since we played them in the cup. So I think that's what we were expecting, a different lineup. It's one of our short journeys as well. I think it's just London Bees and of course Gillingham, the midweek game we had. They're the short journeys. Hounslow's still short as London, but London Bees I think is the one that we always just look forward to. It's not that far. Just down there. But yeah, it wasn't the prettiest of games. The weather was a big problem. Definitely 10 minutes before half time, we had a tropical storm, a hurricane, pretty much rain, wind. But then the sun was out and there was a nice little rainbow. But no, it was a fast start. We got the goal early, and then we pretty much dominated the game, really. London Bees didn't have many chances. Although for the second game in a row, we conceded. The Kingsham game, Kaysham, whatever. They scored. Yeah, that's the word. They scored twice against us, and then for the back-to-back games for a very long time. I can't remember the last time we conceded in back-to-back games, but then we did concede, which was a penalty, and it was a penalty. But no, it wasn't a pretty game, but just professional job from the team. And Joe said that in his interview with Kieran Stanley, the media officer, saying, the job done. That's just a result you need to get at this level. And unfortunately, they don't play on the Hive pitch. The Barnet men's team play on. It was just a side thing. But the Hive, big praise to the Hive. A good setup there. I've been there before, but this is the first time where I've actually really indulged myself in the surroundings and used the facilities. They got Starbucks there, other coffee establishments, other stuff is available and all that. But I went to Starbucks. I don't drink coffee myself, so I had a tea. Had a cheese toasty and a Mars bar. Other chocolates are available. But yeah, a good rating of just pre-match food. But anyway, back to the game.
Back to the game, indeed. So that first goal, of course, was from Zoe, followed up by a first senior goal. And I'm going to try and pronounce her name right because I have a Spanish A-level. It was the first senior goal for Sarah Bracero Carriera. And I'm sorry, Sarah, if I butchered that. It's been a while since I tried to pronounce things in Spanish. But yeah, nice to see younger. Obviously, it's a very young Town side, Ross, but an even sort of younger player in the form of Sarah coming on there for her first senior appearance, as well as being her first senior goal.
Yeah, I think she's a player that a lot of us know, who are followers the team very closely. I've seen her play for the under-21. She's definitely a player that we've spoken about a lot. And when you have a player there, you've got she's going to be a guaranteed start now. She was playing in a false 9. She was playing in front of Maddie Biggs and Natasha Thomas. That's a big statement. And she took it and she scored. And she's a very talented player. And yeah, I'm not going to try to say her name in Spanish because Sarah Bracero Carrera, that's the quickest I'm going to say it because I'm not even going to try to butcher it properly. But she's only recently gone double-barreled name. She's basically, before she was just Sarah Bracero. But now she's brought the double-barrel name in. But no, it was good goal from her. I'm rambling now, but once again, it proves how good our academy is, bringing these players through. We'll talk about Luce O'Brien soon as well because she scored again. But it's just a talented group of players, and it's just great that she scored her first senior goal for the club on a very terrible pitch. It wasn't great, but no. It was another good milestone for the club, seeing another young player score their first senior goal.
No, it's fantastic to see that sort of versatility that Town have. They can you bring in these academy signings and they just slot right into the team perfectly and are scoring from the get-go, which, we've said before is so important in this league, especially at the moment. Town at the top of the league at the moment because Southampton didn't play at the weekend. And as soon as Southampton play, they're most likely going to win and they'll be back at the top of the league again because it's goal difference, goal difference, goal difference. And that's so important this season. And so it's great to see that, like you said, Town can bring in this academy offering and she can slot it right in and start scoring goals again because that's exactly what Town need at this moment in time. But yeah, like you say, 3 goals there for Zoe, for Sarah, and third goal there was for EK. She's on a bit of a roll at the moment as well. So yeah, overall, obviously Town taking 3 points away from the Hive and setting themselves up for another fantastic game on Sunday, which was back at the Gold Star, back at home. Ross, MK Dons were this weekend's opponent. What did you make of the side?
Once again, it was we dominated the game, but it was more competitive from the Cation, as you say they're called.
I believe so.
Yeah,
I was listening to all the students that weekend, and they were like, "No, it's Canesham. Everyone's been saying it wrong."
It doesn't matter. Well, it does matter in a way if you want to properly say it right. But no, it's just good to see back-to-back competitive games. That level just felt like it was great to score goals, get the goal difference up. But I don't know, for me, I just don't enjoy those sort of games. It's great, everyone can get the goals and there's positivity, celebrating. The fans will love that. But me, I like a nice competitive game, some end-to-end stuff. Of course, most of the time we have a lot of the possession. That's just our style of play. We love having the ball. We love passing around. And this was just a good end-to-end game. Of course, we had most of the chances, but we had to battle to get the goals. And once again, it was a flying start. From the London Bees game we scored early on, and this game we scored early on, which is fantastic to see. Lucy O'Brien, she's on fire as well. She's now scored 3 goals in the last 3 games this season, which is just great to see. Another youngster coming through who is very highly rated. I forgot to mention, Sarah Brazera Carrera, she played in pre-season and she scored a fantastic goal in pre-season. And I thought, okay, we're going to see her more regularly. But I think she's just been bedded back into the team and she got that start at London Bees. But Lucy O'Brien with the early goal. And I think, that was the start of, I was maybe thinking, maybe we could score a lot of goals here. But MK Dons, they settled a little bit. They were to defend and we had to work hard to get the second. And then we didn't score until the 94th minute to make it 3-0 to pretty much settle the game. But I'll let you carry on speaking because I'm just rambling now again.
Yes, of course. Now, those other 2 goals, of course, were from Zoe Barrett, who she's on a bit of a goal rush at the moment, Ross. She is 5 goals in 5 games. She's one of the top scorers at the club this season. What do you make of her season so far? She's had a stunner.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of hers. Like when she signed a contract, I even just said to her in person, I went, I've always thought you were a fantastic little player. And she's come in to replace Sophie Pescott. Unfortunately, she's injured at the moment, and she's gone in there and staked their claim to be a starter. And 5 goals this season, which is fantastic to see. Scores many different goals. She can score tap-ins. She can score a nice little weldie, if you want to call those goals weldies. But once again, she can play on the wing. She can play up front if needed. And she's just been fantastic. And she's got a nickname, Bazza.
Bazza, love it.
Yeah, Bazza. And yeah, a fantastic little player. And it's just good to see once again, she's scoring against her former club. I forgot that Luce O'Brien also played at MK Dons through their academy. So 2 players scoring against their former clubs. I'm sure Zoe Barrett hasn't got, she doesn't need to tell the MK Dons coaches what they're missing out on because they probably do know. But further score against their former clubs and score really 2 good goals as well. It's just good to see. And it's nice, once again, we're not relying on, say, Natasha Thomas scoring the goals or Maddie Biggs. We've got everyone across the team scoring. Like, if I quickly get up the top goals scorers this season, we've got Zoe Barrett and EK on 5, Maddie Biggs on 4, Maddie Biggs and Tash on 4, Lucy O'Brien on 3, Pescott on 3. Then you've got Paige Peake, Anna Gray, Maria Boswell, Bonnie Hillwood. Everyone's sort of taking over the load of scoring the goals, which is good to see. And Barrett, a lot of people go, it's a surprise package this season. But no, I was sort of a little bit inside me. I thought, she's going to it's going to be a big season for her, and yeah, she's doing well.
Ross insider tips there. He's been
No.
he's known it since the start. Yeah. But if you want any notes for the future, obviously always go to Mystic Ross there, who can line you up with some players of the future. But no, like you say, it's great to see that Town have that shooting ability from several different areas and from many different players. So, like you say, it isn't just a burden on one player like Natasha, and it really is a team effort, as it were, to work on that goal difference, which we've obviously said is so key this season. But yeah, fantastic game. Again, got to praise the fans, 380 in attendance. I know amongst those were the Achilles Flamingos, who were the mascots at the weekend as well. Shout out to any of them who might be listening. But yeah, a fantastic attendance on a difficult weekend as well. But yeah, I think that's one of Town's highest attendances at home this season, Ross.
Yeah, once again, it broke records over the weekend for other games in our league and across women's football on Sunday. 380 is a fantastic effort. So, Town fans, pat on the back. I was overhearing a few fans behind me when I was taking pictures. One dad was asking his young daughter, have you enjoyed today? Would you like to come again? She went, yeah, definitely. I'd love to come again. And, and it's just a new generations of fans, going to their first game, even just maybe older fans, even just a man and his dog, just wanting to come along to watch the first game and go, what, I like this. I enjoyed this. I want to come back. Because, Felixstowe, once again, big praise of Felixstowe. I do love their setup there. You get, great food, got the bar there, good facilities. And yeah, it's a good day all round. If it's a nice day, you head down to Felixstowe before the game or after the game. I know fans, I think they're as crazy as other people are sometimes. Like they'll go down to the cafe. I think they got to Felixstowe at 10 to 10 in the morning.
Wow.
So it's sort of like, in a way, just enjoy it. Make it a day of it. Go to Sunday, go to the seaside, have a trip there. And 380. Hopefully that will keep rising and rising. And hopefully we'll break more records, because the record is the 700 plus game against Norwich. Hopefully we can beat that at some stage. Maybe the Southampton game will. If that doesn't get played at Portland Road, hopefully it's at Felixstowe. And then, boom, that'd be amazing if we can get over 1,000 possibly.
That would be incredible. And I would not put it past the incredible Town fans to do that. Their support for the club has been unyielding, in recent years. And it's fantastic to see. And somebody else whose support, obviously, for the club that's been unyielding in this time is manager Joe Sheehan, who at the weekend marked 50 games in charge of the club. No mean feat these days, Ross. Fans of women's football will know that it's not quite the game it used to be, where managers would be in for years and years and years. It's a lot of chop and change. And if clubs aren't happy, you will go. But obviously, Joe in for 50 games now. Town can't be more pleased with what he's doing at the minute, Ross.
Yeah, fantastic achievement. As you said, just in football in general, even the men's game, managers don't last long at all. To get to 30 games or even finish a season is an achievement for a lot of people. But 50 games, amazing win ratio, 39 wins out of 50, all the goals that are scored. He's just, he's been a fantastic, servant for the club. He's had to really build his squad from the bottom up, really. We had of course, the legends at the club. We already had Tash and Amanda and a few other players. And I know he gives credit to as well to the staff and everything behind the scenes who have supported him on this journey of, bringing this team. We're mid-table, unfortunately, in the fourth tier of women's football. Ralph, who was the previous manager, he did what he could with his commitments to the club. And Joe has just transformed it. We've got the academy players coming through, players who've now capped for England at youth internationals. And I love watching Joe's football as well. His football is entertaining. We score lots of goals. He's I know a big thing as well. He's a top man. I know Joe's probably listening, so I'm probably kissing his ass right now, but I've always been a big fan of Joe. Keep up the good work, my friends. And here's to another 50 games.
If he was worried about his ego getting stroked, you really did stop it in its tracks there. No, he's obviously, and I think it's important to note, he's led the club through some of its biggest moments in its recent history. Obviously that promotion But also, I know we talk about it all the time because we absolutely loved it. That FA Cup game against Manchester City, one of the biggest games that, if not the biggest game the club's ever played, having attracted so much attention from fans and from press. He was a real a rock for the squad, I think, in that sort of time. I remember being in the post-match press conference, and he was just, they'd obviously lost quite heavily, but you know what? He was just still sat there, calm as anything, just like, yeah. Anyone got any questions? And I think I was the first one to ask him something. I was like, same again next year, then, Joe. And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's once again, I think he's a dream for any, person interviewing. I think anyone who has interviewed Joe, that they enjoy just chatting with him, because it's just like, feel like you're just chatting to a bloke in a pub. What do you think of the game, man? How do you assess that win? How do you assess that defeat? Whatever. And I think that's probably Kieran loves to interview Joe, because he's just so relaxed and he's so happy to talk. And I think it's anybody's dream. As a journalist yourself, I'm sure it's a dream to speak to Joe, because you always get some good quotes out of him, even if it's a win, defeat, whatever. And I think is a big thing for the club as well. It's just having a good man like Joe in charge, and he'll take credit for it, and he also he'll go. He's had great backing from his staff as well. He won't take all the credit, because he knows it's been a lot of hard work from everyone in the club. But it's just great to see that we've had this journey, and it's just a shame that we had the 2 years of the pandemic. I'm sure we would have been where we are right now a year in advance, but unfortunately a global pandemic hit, and unfortunately stuff like that happened. I'm sure he would have got to 50 games by now. I'm sure we're getting close to 100 by now, if we didn't have games postponed and the season finished. But we're still, I'm still bitter about that, but we'll move on.
Yeah, it's okay, Ross, you can be bitter about that.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely fantastic servant to the club. And like you say, he's great to interview, not only because he's so passionate about the club, but he's so genuinely dedicated to it as well. I mean, some people use the women's game as a stepping stone to what they think as better jobs, but you could never say that of Joe, because he's genuinely dedicated to town and to what he does. So, that's from Mr. Neville if he's listening.
Ooh,
yeah, shade. I'm throwing shade today, Ross.
Ooh.
But yeah, here's to another 50 games, Joe. Congratulations. So
pop the champagne out.
Pop the champagne out, indeed. So for Joe's 51st game, it's another home game, Ross. It's another one of those weird little breaks, isn't it? Because would it have been a cup game this weekend? Is it 4-0 cup game this weekend? Because obviously Town got a bye in that.
I think, I think it is. It is. I had to quickly double check that. I haven't got any notes written down, so I can't double check my notes. But I think that is the reason why there isn't a game. And I think the MK Dons game just got moved, just so we have a game, on the 10th of October, and then that is the bye weekend. So a nice little rest for the players, and then Bridgewater. It's always weird, I have to admit, when I do wake up on a Sunday and there's no women's game. It's just like, oh, what am I going to do with myself? But it is. I'm sure that's like with fans. I know a lot of the fans support the men's team as well, so they'll be they've been gone to the men's game on the Saturday and the women's game on Sunday. But it's nice to have that double header when you have both games. When you ain't got one or the other, it's sort of like, oh no, what am I going to do with myself? Which day? But no game.
No, so just to sort of recap that, it would have been the Women's National League Cup fixture this weekend, but Town got a bye to the next round, and so they won't play again until later this year. So a rest weekend this weekend. Then it's the weekend after for Bridgewater. That's the former Yeovil outfit, if you're a familiar fan with women's football. That outfit, of course, the original Yeovil was a Super League side that was rather notorious for losing quite a lot. It's a very different side these days, obviously, third tier, renamed, rebranded, Bridgewater. I don't think they're particularly flying this season as things go, Ross, but still be an interesting opponent for Town to take on, and one that I'm fairly confident this week, Ross, they haven't taken on before in any kind of competition.
No,
burst my bubble, if you will.
I'll burst your bubble on the first statement there. They're third in the league, so they are doing really well. Yeah. So I'm sure there have been listeners shouting at you, and actually, Katie, they're doing well. But no, I don't think we've ever played them that I know
No,
of.
I will take that
Um,
one. And
Take
I'm
that.
fairly sure when I looked earlier in the season, they weren't doing all that good. So it may be one of those where it's taken a little bit longer for that kind of new setup to get going, as it were. But interesting that they are third, obviously behind Town and Southampton. So perhaps a more competitive game this week, or perhaps one of the most competitive games that Town's played this season, Ross, possibly on the cards.
Yeah, I think that's one game I think Joe and Co will be looking forward to. It's going to be a really big battle, that, because they'll be one of the top sides coming down to the Gold Star. Long travel for them as well. I always say that on the podcast, long travel, because it is.
It
Thankfully, they're
really
coming
is.
to us first. Bridgewater's a long way. Yeovil and all that. That's Somerset, in it. Somerset.
It is Somerset.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
I just heard that.
I always think, and I'm so sorry to anybody who disagrees with me, as somebody who is not from around these parts, I always wonder if you said to anybody else which of these people are from Suffolk and which of these people are from Somerset, there are differences, but they're very slight differences, and it's the strength of accent, I think, more than anything that hits me as an outsider.
It's when films, they try to do a Suffolk accent, but most of the time, like, if you're from Suffolk, you hear it's like that is actually a Somerset accent. So it's sort of like, because some people like dig it. So like the film Dig, there's some people think, well, it's a bit of Somerset in there, not a bit of Suffolk, and there's other films based in Suffolk that actually that isn't the right accent there. But no,
I think they did it. I think the Dig's not bad one, actually. I think shout out to Charlie Haylock, who did an excellent job on that one.
I haven't watched it, but maybe I should.
I think
but I don't know.
You should, because Ralph Fiennes his accent is very good, actually, and I couldn't help but think of you when I heard it.
Yeah, if you want any more Suffolk, then I'm your boy. On the her and all that. Because I don't know about my. Yeah, I do well. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure people who aren't from Suffolk and who listens to our podcast on Kings of Anglia, they just go, wow. Because you like say, Andy Warren, he's from Suffolk, but he probably doesn't sound as Suffolk as I do, because I think
having worked with you for several years, you sound more Suffolk than anybody else in our entire office, and there are quite a lot of Suffolk people in our office, quite a few from Essex, but quite a lot of people who've born and grown up in Suffolk, and nobody has as strong as accent as you, Russells.
I have, to be fair, I have branched out. I have gone to different places, and I haven't just stayed in Suffolk all my life. But I think it's just my family is so Suffolk. Like, if you meet my nan and my granddad, I can hear their accent. They got more Suffolk than me, because some of the things they say, it's just
not possible.
It is possible, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we've gone on a proper Kings of Anglia tangent here, but I'm enjoying it. But yeah, so to recap, that next game is the 24th of October against Bridgewater, the team based in the West Country, whose accents are very different to people in Suffolk. I will say before I get chased out of the county. But yeah, have a lovely break, everybody, this weekend. Plenty of women's football in other forms on. If you do still fancy a game that isn't a bit of Town, dip in, have a look at a bit of Super League Championship. It's very accessible these days. So if you are bored, do give it a go. We'll be back after that Bridgewater game in a few weeks' time. Ross, thanks as ever for your insight this evening, and
yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's just I don't know what else I'm going to say. I'm just rambling as always. Move on. End it. Outro.
Outro. You can follow us as always on our social media handles. I am at Katy Sandalls, Katy with a Y, Sandals with 2 L's, which I'll be saying to the end of time. Ross, you are at Ross Media UK. Or do I always get this wrong?
Of course. No, it's right.
And at Kings of Anglia on Twitter as well. We'll be back soon. Thanks for your support as always. We love being part of the KOA family. Until then, have a great break, everyone, and we'll